gonna sit like
Oh, Minobu-san, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, we're watching right now the Sungwa ceremony for Mr. Rapada there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know how
It's
long
right
it
now.
takes. So,
Okay. Yeah. I think this is recorded, so the priority is probably Sungho ceremony, definitely, right? So yeah.
I just let you know there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Who's Songhua?
Mr. It's a Filipino member.
Oh, I see. Hey, it is 7:05, so we can go ahead and get started. Yeah. Um, so it's just gonna be us three on Zoom. And maybe some people on YouTube and Facebook Live. But yeah, I think right now in New Jersey there's a Songhua ceremony happening, so yeah, those people will not be able to join today. But this will be recorded so they can look at this later. All right, we can get started. I'll start us off with an opening prayer, so please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parents, Jesus and Jin Hyojin, Tomonim, all of our good ancestors in the spirit world, good evening or afternoon, morning, whatever time it is for everyone around the world. Thank you so much for allowing us to come together today, once again to continue doing Ocean Providence Hundoke deep dives. I really pray that today, as per usual, you're able to be with us during this call and that you're able to convey to us what you want to convey. And I really pray that we'll also be able to feel, not only learn about more about Ocean Providence, but also come to better understand and feel inspired about what it is that you need us to do in order to accomplish your will, Heavenly Parent. But we really pray that every time we meet, including today, can be used as some kind of condition, positive condition for your will and for True Mother and her situation. We really pray for her safety and health, and that, uh, yeah, that the verdict can final verdict at the court can be uh, in our favor. And we really pray that we can support her as much as we can, whether it be doing what we can for Providence or prayer, same conditions. We thank you so much. Once again, we love you. I pray this in my name, is 23rd generation member, blessed on your family, attending Holy Mother Han, Amen, Aju. All right. Thank you, you guys for joining. All right, so I will share my screen. Okay, so this is a topic that we've gone over multiple times here, but I think this time we've included a couple more of True Mother's words as well as some updated statistics because the stats from the presentation, this was made back in 2000, I think like 2021. So it was, yeah, the stats were a little older. So we updated some of them. So hopefully, yeah, it'll be interesting. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about the original plan for Ocean Providence and how exactly True Parents had hoped to and looked to solve world hunger. So just key points from everything that we've talked about so far. Ocean Providence's goal is to essentially solve world hunger, which is a key problem necessary to solve in order to achieve peace. And Ocean Providence was also to help achieve unity as well. The method for this unity would have been to live for the sake of others, making Ocean Providence the providence to substantially live for the sake of others through things like solving world hunger and uniting the world and establishing peace. In the last section, last time we discussed how the ocean era was inevitable, and that True Parents both saw this. Through understanding historical trends, we could conclude that the ocean will be key in the future, specifically in the Pacific Rim region, and in correlation to Mother's leadership in the women's era. Now, starting off with True Mother's quote about creating a future with abundant food, right? Because when we're talking about Ocean Providence, we're also talking about the hunger issue. She says, for decades, my husband and I took on the task of ensuring that humanity moves into a future assured of abundant food supplies and pleasant, healthy environments. We advocated the free exchange of technology across national borders and shared our vision that the oceans are a gift from God and the ultimate source of the world's nutrition. Stable food sources and pure air, land, and water are essential to world peace and the salvation of humankind. And so, True Parents essentially were working to create this future where people were fed and that they saw that the ocean was a key to this, this goal. And so the plan for Ocean Providence was to help essentially accomplish this kind of peace and salvation through solving world hunger. And so just to review, right, why we are actually going over this original plan, despite the fact that this was a plan that was, created back in the 1980s or 1900s, right? This is an old plan, but it's still important that we review it. And yeah, why is that? It's because we cannot make appropriate decisions without first understanding true parents' purpose, plan, and current situation. The purpose becomes clear by knowing the motivation and hearts of true parents and understanding the hunger problem that they are trying to resolve, which we've gone over already. And this plan, right, that we're going to be going over can be understood by analyzing true parents' words and true father's words and actions, where they invested in. And the current situation can be understood by knowing the history and through analyzing how far this plan has actually come and where the plan might not have actually been accomplished. And after that, then we can, better understand what we can do now. So if we want to understand how, our future movement, how we should actually solve world hunger right now, we have to take into consideration and understand True Parents' original plan as well, which is why we're going over this. And yeah, once again, this was all preparation to bring the solution to world hunger. True Father says every year 20 million people die of starvation. That is 60,000 people a day. Is the President of the United States going to take responsibility for that? Will Gorbachev of the Soviet Union take responsibility? Who will take responsibility for this? Who in the world is going to do that? The true parents and the siblings of the true parents have to take responsibility for it. For this reason, all our work with the sea is something I have been planning and preparing for over the last 20 years. So we're going to review this 20-year period between 1974 and 1994 that True Father is referencing here. And we will be able to clearly see that this 20-year period that he spent in America was essentially this preparation to solve the hunger problem of the world. And so, starting in 1954, that was the beginning of the Holy Spirit Association of Unification of World Christianity, or church. That was when we were established. And then that marked the start of the first 40-year course of our movement as HSA UWC. And in the middle, in 1971, True Parents moved to the United States of America, and that's where kind of the Providence Center, mainly in North America, had begun. And then 3 years later, in 1974, August 1st, that was the official start of the North American Ocean Providence that True Parents declared. And then from 1974, 20 years of North American Ocean Providence happened, where in 1994, True Parents held the 20th anniversary expo of the North American Ocean Providence in Belvedere as kind of the celebration of all these things that they had done those 20 years of Ocean Providence. And on August 1st, 1994, at the end of the 20-year course of the North American Ocean Providence, True Parents held this expo, and that's also where True Parents revealed their original and whole plan for Ocean Providence. And that same year, May 1st, was actually when the movement changed its name to Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. And the next year, 1995, March 31st, the Sao Paulo Declaration was made, which was essentially the declaration to mark the second 40-year course, beginning not only the North American movement, but the North and South American unification movement. And that was the 22nd year course, not as HSA UWC, but as FFWPU. And so we can clearly see that those 20 years from 1974 to 1994 of the North American Ocean Providence was essentially this preparation to solve the problem of world hunger, and where True Parents were essentially creating this 20-year global economic foundation in America by cultivating these rich marine resources so that they can use that foundation to actually achieve world peace and solve world hunger. And so, yeah, this is just a photo of August 1st, 1994, that Ocean Providence Expo in Belvedere. And you can see there were leaders from all around the world at that time. So this 20-year anniversary expo of the North American Ocean Providence was a culmination of 20 years and a stepping stone to begin the South American Providence. That time, in front of true children, leaders from churches around the world, and thousands of members, True Father spoke about the entire plan for the future of Ocean Providence and clarified that future direction that he wanted us to take. And so today starting today in the next few sessions, we're going to be talking about first the framework for this plan to solve world hunger that True Father revealed that day, and also the first part of the plan, first part of that plan. So before we get into the actual content of True Father's speech, which was titled The Development of the Oceanic Realm, we are going to first explain the framework we use to actually put together this content because all of this is based off of his speech. And we kind of want to walk you through how we came up with this framework. Yeah. So one thing to note before we move on is almost all of the words we quote are from this specific speech given on August 1st. And although it is the full picture of the plan, Truefather didn't go into some details because of time constraints, of course. And it's a huge plan, right? So, for example, he did not mention things like seafood restaurants that he had repeatedly talked about in, other speeches included in Goswell in the Ocean. So, as such, whatever that's not included in this speech does not mean that it's not actually part of Ocean Providence and its plan. This is just the full picture, and it doesn't include many of the details. So Truefather's speech, this is kind of an outline of the substantive plan and the speech that he gave. It's a lot, but you can see that there is a part one and a part two that we were able to kind of identify from reading and analyzing this speech. And so in order to explore the substantive plan that Truefather talked about in order to solve world hunger, we've divided it into these two clear parts in this presentation. And I think before we move forward, right, True Mother actually explains these two parts in a very simple way that I feel like is very understandable. Talking about the abundant food and exchange of technology. She says, there's a Western saying, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. If you can fish, you will never go hungry. Africa has many rivers, lakes, and oceans. Therefore, we need to teach its people how to fish and create fish farms. My husband and I have long been involved in projects like this. For decades, my husband and I took on the task of ensuring that humanity moves into a future assured of abundant food supplies and pleasant, healthy environments. We advocated the free exchange of technology across national borders and shared our vision that the oceans are a gift from God and the ultimate source of the world's nutrition. Stable food sources and pure air, land, and water are essential to world peace and the salvation of humankind. And so she talks about abundant food and also the exchange of technology. And Truefather also explains in his autobiography, also kind of this concept of these two parts to the plan. He says simply distributing food supplies by itself will not resolve hunger. A more fundamental approach to the problem is needed. I'm considering two fundamental and concrete methods. The first is to provide ample supplies of food at low cost, and the second is to share technology that people can use to overcome hunger on their own. And so we are dividing his plan in this speech to solve world hunger into these two methods that True Parents are talking about, right? To provide ample supplies of food and to share technology that people can use to overcome hunger. And so you can see this, right? There's method one, which is to distribute the food, and method two, which is to provide technology and to overcome hunger. And actually, when we look at the many projects that True Parents have invested in during that 20-year period in America, we can see that it was in line with these two things, right? So things like securing food, which is like aquaculture, fishery, farming, secure surplus resources, shipbuilding, fish powder, transportation industry, international peace highway, hobby, and then for method two, things like popularization of aquaculture ponds, right? Teaching other people and making other people do aquaculture, fishing, farming, hunting, right? Fishing tournaments, schools, teaching, education, things like this. And so you can see how True Parents were really doing everything in line with this plan. Now, to actually go on to the plan, we are going to start with this first part, the method one, which is to distribute ample supplies of food at low cost. So the first method that True Parents had looked to do was to distribute ample supplies of food at low cost. And before going into that, we're going to be doing a quick review of kind of the realities of world hunger and why we are specifically talking about distribution, right? Because it's distribute ample supplies, not yeah. And so why are we talking about food distribution as a problem? Well, the hunger problem, the larger problem doesn't lie with the production itself, but rather with the distribution instead of the supply. And so the United Nations World Food Program had at some point pointed out the fact that although the world has enough food to feed all mankind, the food is not actually reaching the ones that need it. And they are calling it essentially the world's most solvable problem. And so, kind of to give you some numbers, right, the world is currently producing food enough for 12 billion people, but the current world population is only 8 billion, which means we're producing surplus for 4 billion people. But where is that food actually going, right? And another example of how the distribution issue is a thing, right? There are more obese people than there are hungry people in the world, right? There in 2022 there was a survey, and it was found by the World Health Organization that in 2022, 2.5 billion people around the world were considered overweight. And the World Food Program found that in the same year, there were 725 million people suffering from malnourishment. And so, what this essentially means is that there are more people in the world who suffer from having too much food than there are people who cannot get enough food. And so, you can kind of see very clearly that there is a distribution issue here, where some people are getting too much food and some people are not getting any. Another example of the distribution problem is the fact that 30 to 40% of the food in America is being discarded. Right, the United States is the world's largest exporter of food, but in 2010, the FDA, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, announced that approximately 30 to 40% of food is wasted in the United States annually. And in 2010, it was announced that approximately 60 billion kilograms of food was wasted in the U.S. And in 2026, a more recent statistics, it was 60 billion tons, not kilograms, tons of food that was being wasted. So this is equivalent to 120 billion pounds, estimated to be wasted every year according to this 2026 report. And so if we do some math, right, it's said that humans eat about 2.5 kg of food per day, and we need about 900 kg of food per year. By that calculation, 60 billion tons of food could feed about 60 million people. In this way, when examining the hunger problem, it can be said that the problem is not exactly the food production, but rather the distribution, and we were not able to share it with those who really need it. Therefore, the first plan to distribute ample supplies of food at low cost is very important because it tackles this distribution problem. So let's take a look at how True Parents planned to solve this distribution problem by dividing the plan into 6 steps. And so this step 1 that we're going to be talking about is the gateway into the marine industry, which is boat manufacturing. As we mentioned, boats are pretty, mentioned many times, right? True Parents built boats, designed boats, right? Boats were mentioned several times in previous episodes, small boats being the main tool for Ocean Church. And many boats were built for training purposes for the members. And through this speech, we are going to look at how these small boats kind of actually played their role in this larger plan. So this is from that speech. True Father says, without a boat, no matter how good the environmental conditions are for Providence, nothing can be done. The most important thing in establishing a relationship with the sea is the boat. If we build a boat, it must be built so that the boats that the Unification Church builds are recognized and more famous than those built by other companies at the global standard and as history goes by. I thought about how to lay the foundation for young people to feel without fear. I have to go out to the sea again today because I went out to the sea yesterday. At that time, the idea of building an unsinkable boat came to me. I wondered how to build a boat that wouldn't sink even if it was turned over and wouldn't sink even in the swaying sea. Floating the boat on the beach or in a river nearby that even children can easily steer around, and the children in the village can get on the boat or dive under the boat and have fun playing, they naturally become interested in the sea. Even if we continue to fish for 20 years, the real thrill of going out to the sea would never end. We don't have time. The most important thing in business is that you have to have a solid foundation at the starting point. It was the one hope that I worked hard to make after thinking about various things. You would not know this, but remember that One Hope is the best boat in the world for effective fishing in bad weather, no matter what kind of fish you catch, whether it's tuna or trout. Have you ever wondered how special this boat is? The island symbolizes a woman. A boat like a small island floating in the sea symbolizes a woman. Well, in the world, the most beautiful boat, like the most beautiful woman, whether viewed from above or from the side, is our boat. This boat has no bulges and has a wonderfully natural streamline. It is formed beautifully like an egg. Did everyone notice this? Didn't you know? In other words, I am telling you to etch these words into your head permanently and never forget it. Of all the Alaskan boats, the boat that is trolling and actually catching fish well, fast, portable, and good looking was our boat. It's not an average boat. One hope comes to my mind when I think of boats, and one hope is the best. One hope means one purpose, one determination. Please memorize it like this. And so True Father goes on for a pretty long time about this boat, One Hope, in his speech about the plan, right? And you can see that True Father's hope had been poured into this One Hope. So to summarize basically what he was saying in this section, right? In starting the oceanic business, True Father needed a way essentially to train personnel who could carry out his plan. Basically human resources, people who would want to do what this plan was. And the best way to go about this was to train people with a small boat. Therefore, True Father needed a boat that could guide and train members who were willing to follow the way of Ocean Province throughout their lives. For this reason, the boat had to be safe, easy to use, and attractive. And so One Hope was this boat that he designed specifically for this purpose of being attractive, of making people want to go out to the ocean and actually learn and relate to that ocean. And so this shipbuilding industry was also this gateway into various other marine industries. Okay, that is the end of today's presentation. Um, yes, I will stop there. Right, so for the next 5 minutes until 7:31, we can reflect. Yeah, if Oma could put some music on, and we can come back and share any reflections afterward. Okay, 5 minutes have passed, so we can come back. All right, so as usual, yeah, anyone can go ahead and start sharing any reflections or thoughts or inspirations, comments that they have.
Since Captain Manny not here, I can start. Yeah. Um, okay, so this part of the Hundoke deep dive is like about this original plan. So I mean, we saw the like a table of contents sort of for the original plan. It was like a very long list of steps, like step one, step two. And then we just basically talked about step one, which is like entering the marine industry through manufacturing small boats. So I think it's a very interesting point to talk about it because I think a lot of people, like members and people in general, was wondering like, oh, why are we like entering this really like extremely difficult manufacturing business, you know? Like car business also is like any kind of like machinery or big manufacturing business. There's a famous story of Toyota struggling in the very beginning, like for years, um, to turn profit, right? But then they eventually became like the most successful car company at one point. But anyway, so like boat manufacturing, why are you doing this? And then also like, why are you taking everybody to the sea? Also, that's also like people's understanding, I think in general, is like, oh, just to train people. It's to train people for maybe spirituality or like personal development or, to become tough or something like that, right? But in the context of like what the plan is, like what the strategy is in order to get to the final endpoint of like doing something big like world hunger. So it's very interesting, like a point of like True Father is like, okay, I need to take, in order to do that, I want to make like the best boats. So then we need to enter the marine industry. So, we're gonna do this. And then so my point is that it wasn't merely to just enter like this really difficult business, and it wasn't merely to just train people like spiritually. Like it had like a huge context behind it where like because I see a lot of captains and like people who are involved in the ocean providence or boats and fishing and stuff, right? So what I observe is people who go on the boats a lot, uh, some of them enter a more involved industry, like ferry captains, big transport uh workers, or something like that. Or, like so not only going out on the sea makes the person more capable, adaptive, and like brave, things like that, like personally developing the person, but at the same time they become a personnel who is willing to go into this industry, kind of get interested and be able to do a larger level of that marine industry, right? So I feel like that's the ultimate goal of the just the step one, where we're entering into the small boats, training people, but the training is not like just a general training. It's a very specific training to make people understand the ocean, relate to the ocean, and be willing to go into these industries, for the plan to actually work up to the end point. So I think it clarifies, if talked about in context with the general like original plan, the why training on the ocean, or why did you make boats, that all starts to make sense. So I think it's like a really good, I really like this content, original plan, although it's probably very outdated because of AI and all these different things are happening in the world right now. So the plan probably has to be readjusted in some ways. But I think at its core, the people who are willing to do this still need to be trained. And the best place, the most efficient way to train these people are on the small boat going out fishing. So I think it's very like elegant solution. Difficult, but very strategic and efficient, So that's my feedback on that part.
Thanks, Uma. Yeah, I think your point about how, yeah, members who have like been involved with the that boat building and stuff, and like this fishing and ocean training have eventually like, gone into continued into the marine industry. And it kind of made me think of how like, yeah, I feel like a lot of the skill sets that you gain during fishing, are very transferable to other marine industry type jobs. And so once you are accustomed and trained in one area of the marine industry, it becomes a lot easier for you to actually expand into the other aspects of it too. Yeah. I think also one thing, I guess a comment from me now, but one thing I really thought of when I was reading the words today was kind of like I'm here in Sitka, Alaska, right, with Mune here. And I think one thing that just like I've thought about this too when I was in Florida too, but I feel like coastal communities, there's so many kids here that just like know how to drive a boat and they're like 5 or something, And they're like so young, but they're already so capable, able to do so many different things out on the water. And they like go out on the water by themselves. And like it really creates these types of people that, are naturally drawn to the ocean. Even despite the fact that there are risks and factors, these people are still going out at their young age with these different capabilities that city people, have no idea how to do. And it's just really amazing. And I feel like True Father wanted like the boat to also be a part of like creating this culture of, you know, becoming capable people, of becoming people wanting to go out to the ocean, go out to the world and do these, different amazing things. And basically be useful, Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Also just like the fact that the boat can really be like key in developing a love for the ocean and making people want to get more involved with the marine industry. Yeah. Any other thoughts from other people?
Yeah, I'd say yeah, it was a really solid presentation for that. And yeah, I guess like one thing that stood out to me besides the topics that you guys mentioned, I think is the idea of like distribution and the concept of how this food is just wasted so much. And I guess like when it comes to people being obese, I think I feel like junk food and processed foods come to mind, I guess, not just the amount of food wasted. I don't know if that plays into any factors within Providence, but I think once the distribution process is more solidified, I feel like more healthier foods can be brought to those countries that are malnourished. And I think that would be pretty cool. And I guess the boat thing was pretty cool too. It's the idea of someday making a boat that won't tip over. I think that would be, I don't know, it'd be interesting to imagine, I guess. I don't know how you think of it, but yeah, future might be looking great. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Thanks, Mune. I think that's a good point about like the obesity is probably also, I guess like it goes for obesity and malnutrition both, like just the availability of nutrition, like healthy food. I think people can also be malnourished just based off the fact that they don't have a specific type of nutrition in their area that they're able to access. So it's like, yeah, there's also like this need to distribute different, a variety of healthy foods that people need all over the world, right? Like you can be in an area where there's a lot of, I don't know, cow, but then there's no vegetables, and then you will still be like not healthy, right? So it's like you need that kind of distribution between different places to be able to have that whole range of, you know, nutrition. Yeah, like almost saying fish powder is also something that your parents had looked to develop, and I think is going to be mentioned in a future presentation. So, yeah, great point, Mune. Reverend Cosmos, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, happy Sunday to all of us. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Are you getting me? Okay. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
we can
getting
hear
you.
you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry. Yeah, happy Sunday to all of us. I'm glad taking part in the hunt. Okay. I have been when I was listening, I was struggling to find something in me to feel that what Father is saying is not like he is imposing. It's not like his own just mere idea. I was trying to get something where the motivation is coming as something very fundamental that has spiritual, that has historical and providential, background. So I started thinking, of our images I've once seen, of people starving, especially if you have ever seen the image or a picture of somebody starving from kwashiorkor, those kind of images. I realized that Father is very scientific, and he's like considering the world like um, somebody suffering from kwashiorkor. If you see somebody suffering from kwashiorkor, you discover that the entire body has that deficiency of distribution of maybe nutrients and so forth. You will see one side is just looking very funny, very irrational, kind of outlook. And I think you can see why he's talking of distribution. For instance, if you have to treat this kind of a person, you have to bring the person medicine, and when it gets into the person, he needs to have good blood cells to distribute the nutrients up and down the entire body and so forth. And I'm thinking of when he's talking of small boats, I was just seeing the image of white blood cells or blood cells, the corpuscles, how they look like. They are just like boats as well, in the bloodstream, trying to carry products or nutrition from one point of the body to the other. So I discovered that, actually to solve world hunger and it's like treating this person to regain the health, which is bringing about world peace. All these things are very important. Having the medicine for the person and the person having good blood cells and so forth, that can carry the distribution up and down. So, like I said, I'm struggling not to feel like he, even if I like this, his father forcing me. No, it isn't his own just way of just he likes to do things. No, but it's very scientific, it's very providential, and it is not his work alone. It is our work. First of all, I am living as a refugee, and I am having the opportunity, witnessing how sometimes people go hungry and the way they behave, and some conditions that make them, have difficulties to feel like they are they are really normal people because there is this word we use, vulnerable. We refugees are usually classified as a vulnerable population and so forth. You know, so this is the story of the world, and who has to do it? We have to do it. So I am now trying to gather more momentum, in what I have to do. So even if today we're doing food production, we really have to think of for it to be distributed, proportionately, and we must be engaged. For instance, the aspects of technology for distribution. If you don't do it, there are people today with rich technology. We have heavy machineries, but they are not focusing in what you desire. They are not investing it in the way you think you would have loved it to be invested or to be used. Now we each have to be able to cultivate this culture of developing our own technology and using it in our own direction. This is how I am seeing it. And that is why sometimes when I'm thinking of Heavenly Parents Wisdom Academy, sometimes talking about skills acquisition unit, it's like, what is all that? But I am dreaming of how to use it to be able to distribute food and so forth. You see, so to me, in fact, the entire reading, and when I hear the way Father, especially from the quotations, our Father is like worried and struggling to do it. If I don't do it, somebody else must have to do it. He's investing, ceaselessly to do it. And it may look like drama. For me, no. It is our destiny. We have to work this way. We really have to think and see the world like a kwashoko, kwashoko world. People in the world are not okay. The cells in the body, one side is overloaded, like from your statistics with food, the other side is starving. Or this is kwashoko, in the world. And I think we really need to have people who must find inspiration, to stand up and resolve the problems. All those boats we are talking of good and strong white blood cells in the body. The organs are the different institutions, the maritime and the so forth, that we need to develop and make the world a healthy world. I think I find great inspiration in it, and I am feeling it is also my duty. It's not just an advice; it is my duty and a destiny. So I think I feel inspired, and I wish many people too can find some inspiration from it. We really need to do something for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Cosmos. Yeah, I feel like that's like kind of thinking of like, is Father like forcing this on us? Is like I feel like maybe many members might have thought that back in the day, like when True Father was doing a lot of ocean training. So I feel like yeah, it's amazing that you're able to think through it and kind of just like see, yeah, it as like your duty and as your destiny. And I really hope, yeah, just like you, that other people can also feel inspired about this. Hopefully, by better understanding this, that they're able to do that. Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know. Anyway, all right, we can. Are there any last words? If not, we can go ahead and end. Does anybody feel inspired to give an ending prayer for us?
Okay, let us pray.
Thank you, Reverend Cosmo.
Okay, we're praying. Good morning, our holy heavenly parents, our true parents of heaven and humankind, our holy mother hand, and all our heavenly partners. Uh, for me here, I'm in Africa, Nigeria. I'm already on the 10th of August, 2026. So I say good morning and good evening to those who are not yet in the time of morning. Well, we want to appreciate all of us who are gathered here to express our deep um, gratitude to our holy heavenly parents, to our true parents of heaven and humankind, to our holy mother hand, and to all of us, for having the opportunity to share this rich teaching from our true parents, sharing their life experience and gathering momentum, gathering inspiration to carry it forward. I want to thank each and everyone who is taking part, maybe through the uh, stream or through the YouTube, Facebook, and so forth. Even those who had the intentions to come and they could not come in time and so forth, we still appreciate. In all, may we have learned something today that um, we can boost our ways forward. We can get encouraged, to move forward. That we can see hope in what we are doing, in order to play our own role in making life and the world a better place. So we pray that let everything we have been doing and we are doing now, let it be a great contribution for the success of the establishment of this original ideal of Changiguk, this original ideal of one peaceful world, on earth. Let it rain from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and eternally. We become part of it every day in what we're doing. So every parent will pray that will make you happier as we keep on investing ourselves all the time. We will be accruing greater, um, we will be increasing in everything we are doing. We'll be growing and we will one day mature and the dream will be a reality. So I want to thank you as we gathered. May we be able to come back again in any due time so soon, anytime soon, and keep on doing what we're doing, and we share your inspiration with others. I want to pray all of this through our Holy Mother hand. My name is Cosmas Central Blessed Family. I pray. Aju.
Aju. Thank you, Reverend Cosmos. And thank you
Aju.
everybody for joining today. Yes.
So next week, there will be no Hondoke. Due to East Coast Ocean Challenge happening on this side. But the next Sunday, I've asked the Korean Ocean Tribe to present their report of the Korea Ocean Challenge that just concluded like a week ago, I think. So the report itself will be, I think, Jusan, who is the main guy over there, he will be creating the report, I think, like a video for us to watch. But several of the members from Yosu is gonna join the call. So I think that's how it's gonna happen. So hopefully we can mobilize a little bit more people to the Zoom call. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. So we'll try. Yeah.
I didn't get you well. You mean, I know Sunday coming we will not be gathering. You mean after that, after this Sunday coming, the next Sunday we'll be listening to the report?
Yes. So it'll be
Okay.
23rd of August for us here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that'll be the report from Korea. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be great. My sister-in-law was there. She participated, so it'll be interesting to see. Okay. All right. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
Yeah. Have a
Okay,
great
thank
See you
Bye-bye.
guys
week.
next
2
next week.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
Bye-bye.
2 weeks. Bye.
Bye bye.